principle of rhythm. The Philosophers Hermetic enunciated this principle as follows. Everything has its flows and ebbs. Everything has its periods of advance and retreat. Everything rises and falls. The rhythm is the compensation. The word, rhythm, comes from the Greek root, rheo, which means to flow or fluctuate alternately from a maximum value to a minimum value. A fluctuating movement in one direction, and in its opposite direction. We could also describe it as the alternation between two opposite degrees of the same movement. Because of the rhythm everything lives. Everything is shaken. Everything flows and refluxes with sinuous and oscillating movement. Everything goes and returns to the starting point. Everything rises and falls with rhythmic oscillation. It is the life itself, which according to Aristotle, it is not other thing that a alternated movement with its constant lapses of rest. This principle of rhythm is important for all movement, whatever its nature. Always the lapse of activity precedes the lapse of rest, and has a great effect to increase the effectiveness of any work. The rhythm is impulse towards progress and triumph. Aranzadi, the scientist, says in his Ethnology, life is movement, and all movement of life consists of a regular succession of rhythmic differences. The man's work is more effective if he has a precise rhythm. Here at the ancient Rosicrucian Fellowship we have a defined, fixed rhythm. The second Sunday of each month these talks are held at 11 o'clock. And alternately, a sister and a brother do this work. This is an application of the principles of the rhythm and bipolarity. This principle can be applied to everything. For example, in agriculture with the crop rotation, if we do not use to the alternation, the activity is polarized in one direction, and their own virtue of order, transformation or creation becomes completely ineffective. World history is full of examples. Nations not indefinitely support the paralyzing form of one way of government whatever which it will be, monarchist, republican, dictatorial, etc. The yearning for progress in the peoples eventually breaks the chains, because nations also need their own rhythm. Rome did not remain all-time dominating the world. Neither the Huns, Persians, nor the Macedonians. There's always action and a reaction. A forward and a reverse. An elevation and a fall, manifesting itself in all things and phenomena in the universe. Atoms, worlds, men, animals, plants, minerals, energy, matter, mind and even the same spirit manifest this principle. In the generation and transformation of the worlds the rhythm is manifested in the rise and fall of nations. In the manhood and old age in man. All movement participates of the rhythm. This principle is closely linked to the polarity, since all rhythmic oscillation happens between two poles, having a balancing point of harmony. Among the systole and diastole, between inspiration and expiration, there is an equilibrium point. Thus amid darkness is the balancing point of rhythmic oscillation of the passage of sunlight by our hemispheres. Among the high tide and the low tide there is also that balance. In the walking and in every movement of life. In our life, when our lack of evolution manifests itself, when there is no point of equilibrium, it is because our actions do not have rhythm. There is not such harmonious alternation. Dr. Krumheller in his wonderful book, Biorhythm, tells us that the teaching, love one another, is the supreme law, the law that everything governs, the law that everything harmonizes. The rhythm is love, and if we comply with this law we will achieve everything else. When the great Kabbalist ELIPHAS Levi says, There is a alternating continuous of this subtle polarity. Fluidic, always fluctuating. He is affirming the Hermetic principle of rhythm, and its close relationship with the principle of polarity. This same affirms it Dr. Krumheller with the following words. There is no rhythm or periodicity without polarity. And this is always relative, because all potentially bears his dualism. Well, because it represents a manifestation in plus or minus. Or because drags any active or passive reaction, radiant or inductive, periodically. Everything is subject to the rhythm. The cosmos is a perfect and steady rhythm, and all its derivations are nothing but rhythmic repetition of its phenomena. The earth has its rhythm. When it's manifest, the spring, being the sun in the zodiacal sign of Aries, lends its heat to the ground. Make germinates all plants. Vivifies the worms and gives to everything a germ of life new. A blessed boom of renewal and energy. This fertility of everything existing. This magnificent awakening of all things reaches its maximum height in June, and is going on progressively descending until culminating in Christmas, in which it is experienced as a rest, to again experience a revival of energy and then diminish, and so on forever, following this cosmic rhythm. Every human being has their own and peculiar rhythm, which constitutes its isolated hue. Richard Wagner had his own rhythm in 13. The letters of its name both in Spanish and in German are 13. He was born the year of 1813. Wrote 13 musical works. When died Weber, Wagner was 13 years old, and this event influenced his life to become a musician, giving birth to his first musical work that premiered on October 13. Himself said that this event was the strongest and most decisive of his life. He began his career as a musician in Riga, on September 13, 1837 as conductor. Tannhäuser received his last brushstroke the 13th of April. He was exiled to Saxony for 13 years. On his return, August 13, 1876, premiered the Bayreuth Theatre. The 13th of July of 1882 ended his Parsifal. On September 13 of the same year he moved to Italy. He died on February 13, 1883. The biorhythm set 3 rhythms in relation to the human being: the male rhythm, female rhythm and spiritual rhythm. The male rhythm has a periodicity of 23 days. The female rhythm has a periodicity of 28 days. And the spiritual rhythm has a periodicity of 33 days. The masculine rhythm refers to the thrust of everything what is material. The female rhythm is related to the aesthetic sense and art. The spiritual rhythm refers to idealism and the religious sentiment. If the biorhythmic values of the couple are dominated by positive values, then the sex of the physical body of the creature will be male. If the biorhythmic values of the couple are dominated by negative values, then the sex of the physical body of the creature will be female. These biorhythmic values and the way of calculating them is found in the book, Biorhythm, of the Dr. Krumheller and the Biorhythmic Tables, of the Dr. J. A. Velez Royas.